All right, YouTube, how you doing? Welcome back to the channel. Happy Friday to everyone out there. December 8th, we have a jam-packed NBA slate to dive into in today's video. Like we always do, we're going to go through each and every one of these games. I'm going to give you a lean on the spread. I'll give you my lean on the total, but all of my final plays, if you do want to fade me, those plays are going to be in the pinned comment. Last night, not gonna kill us. We go 1-1. The Lakers money line, that cashes for us. The Pacers and Bucks, same game parlay that we had for plus 139, does not come through. But if you've been watching for the last couple of days, I hate to say it, but I'm pretty transparent here. This is better than we've done the last couple days, so I almost take it as, all right, we're starting to get this ship pointed in the right direction. But guys, we're going to go ahead and jump into those games. Before we do, hit that subscribe button, hit that like button as, well, we're almost at 41,000 subscribers, which is absolutely crazy. We just hit 40K a few days back. But on some, I guess, other bad news here, we have the ride of the day coming in from Gregory. Giannis, over 5.5 assists. Now, prior to this, Giannis had double-digit assists in 2 straight games. And I was like, all right, I like that spot, Gregory. Let's ride. Giannis has, what, 4 assists, something like that. Does not come through for us, so the ride of the day is a loss. I like the spot though, but if you guys do want a chance to be the ride of the day, all you got to use is hashtag ride of the day in the comments. Give me an absolute banger of a pick. I'm picking one person, jumping on board with you, and giving you guys a shout out in the next video, win or loss. If you win, we celebrate. If you lose, you got to face the womp womp. We're also posting the ride of the day on Twitter every day now over at EvGuyBoston or on X. If you guys do want to follow me there, I've been following everyone back, but that's so we can all kind of ride together and see who's riding and jump on board, and make this more of a community thing. So go ahead and enter those ride of the days in the comments. But yeah, let's go ahead and jump into game number 1 here. It's kind of a weird one to me. We have Charlotte taking on Toronto here. Charlotte is at home. Obviously, they're not a very good team, but I also haven't been entirely impressed with Toronto. So this spread number, it's sitting at 5 on the graphic, but a lot of sportsbooks have this at 5.5, and it may be kind of crazy, but I'm actually going to lean towards Charlotte here. I don't think it makes its way into the final plays, but I think that this is a number that's just a little bit too high for Toronto, who's a way better home team than they are road team this year. And I really haven't, like I said, haven't been impressed with their offense, haven't been impressed with their defense. It's like nothing there is saying, okay, go beat this team definitely by 6 points, right? Whereas at least on the Charlotte side of things, like we know that they're not going to play much defense, but they've had plenty of games in which they show their scoring ability. If they can put up near 120, I think that this game stays within 5.5 points. So like I said, it's not the most confident lean. I doubt it becomes a final play, but I am going to go ahead and lean towards the Charlotte Hornets here plus the 5.5 points. Now the total sitting at 223. I kind of hinted at it. Charlotte's defense stinks. Toronto's defense has not surprised me or impressed me, I should say, whatsoever. I'm going to lean towards the over here. Toronto in their last few games here, 119 allowed to the Knicks, not a very fast team, right? 112 allowed to Miami, not a very fast team, right? So I do think that this is a spot where, if no defense is played, asking for around 225 points isn't all that crazy, but I'm always transparent with you guys. I doubt either of these plays become final plays, but those are where I'm leaning in this game. All right, Orlando taking on Detroit, and I may be crazy here, you know what? We'll sound the psycho alert alarm because I think I'm looking at another underdog here that definitely isn't a very good team, but I've told you guys all year long that this Detroit team, when they get those big numbers, they're actually keeping these games to within that range. We saw it against the Cavs, right? They cover that one. We saw it against the Knicks. They cover that one. We saw it against Denver, covered that. Saw it against Cleveland, covered that. Orlando is right in the mix of those teams that I mentioned, but 11.5 points is a hell of a lot to lay. So, unfortunately, it's probably going to be another one in which stays as a lean because just like Charlotte, it's like, well, yes, it's easy to lean towards them as an underdog, right? But can you put your hard-earned bread on them? I don't really think so, but give me Detroit here plus the 11.5 points. No doubt in my mind, Orlando probably has obviously the best chance to win this game, but by 12 points, I'm not necessarily sure. They haven't covered a double-digit spread like that in 3 straight games being an 11.5 or more point favorite, whereas Detroit has covered that as 11.5 point dogs in 2 of their last 3 games. So, this is a team that isn't good at all. Like, I don't back Detroit, but it is just a big number. Now the total sitting at 230. I think this one's a little bit too high. I like the under in this spot. This Orlando defense, they kind of show up and disappear at times, but more often than not, they're showing up, right? And I say disappear like they allowed, what, 128 or 129, almost 130 against Brooklyn the game before that. It was against Washington. They allowed almost 130. They allowed 130 against Washington, but then they'll have games where they go out there and, shut down good offenses like the Celtics to 96 points. So it's like, this is a defense that has the talent. They don't always show up, but you shouldn't need to show up to somewhat stop this Detroit offense, right? So I do think that this is a game that probably finishes, maybe put it in the early 220s. I could see, honestly, right around this spread too, 117 to call it 116 to 107 or something, right? Like a 9-point game. Orlando wins confidently, but Detroit covers the spread. So we're going to lean in those directions. All right, guys, before we get into the rest of the slate, I gotta talk to you about Sleeper. First off, you've heard me talk about it before. Go try out Sleeper if you have not yet. You get 100% of your first deposit matched. It's my favorite pick'em app out there right now. That and Prize Picks are what I'm hammering home as of late. I'm loving those two apps. Sleeper, you get that deal. Use the link in the pinned comment. But what they're doing is really cool. They're giving away the day after Christmas. They're giving away $1 million, and all you have to do to enter is go over there, and you can do it 4 times a day. Get 4 entries. Go over there and place your picks slip. So you can put 2 players in, combine their player props, and even if you win that, you get the results, but you also get entries into this $1 million giveaway. Go check it out, guys. It's pretty damn cool. Check out Sleeper, guys. That link is in the pinned comment. If it's legal in your state and you're not on Sleeper, you're seriously missing out. Go check it out. That link in the pinned comment. Get 100% of your first deposit matched. Now let's talk some basketball again. We got Philly taking on Atlanta. And to me, I don't want to say this is a trap because it's 8 points, and that's a sizable amount, but I'll tell you what right now, this Philly team is miles better than Atlanta. They just are. We saw them play, what was it, mid-November too. Philly beat them by 10 points, double digits, right, which would cover the spot here. This Atlanta team has lost 4 of their last 5 games. Tough competition. Boston, Cleveland, San Antonio they did beat, but then Milwaukee and Brooklyn, right? Like, it makes sense. They kind of went through the gauntlet there, but this Phillies team just got back on the win train, beating Washington. I think they're looking for a good spot here. Trae Young's questionable with an illness. Jalen Johnson still out. Philly, no injury. So give me Philly minus the 8 points here. Do I wish that number was just a tad smaller? Yeah, if this was 6.5, I'd be putting 3 units on it, I think. But I've been wrong before, right? But give me Philly here, minus the 8 points. Now, the total is, again, way up there. These Atlanta games, the total is absolutely crazy. They've cashed 6 of their last 10 overs, too. So they're getting these in the 240s, in the 250 overs, right? And they're cashing them. Like, when they played Indiana, that total was at 253. The final score was 157 to 152. Like this Atlanta team plays zero defense. And if you do play zero defense against this Philly, Sixers team, I think they could drop, 130 on you, which makes that 241 look pretty damn easy. So, yeah, I'm reluctantly going to lean towards the over in this spot, just given the fact that I do think that these are 2 teams that can score. Philly's defense, I'll give a little bit more credit than Atlanta, but they're just kind of a middle-of-the-pack team, right? The league average for points per game is 114.3. The Sixers are allowing 113.8, so they're only 0.5 off of the league average. They're just an average defense when it comes to scoring. Atlanta, on the other hand, obviously letting up boatloads of points. They allow the 4th most, or was it the 3rd most in the entire league. So I'll take the over here, but I'm much more likely to take Philly in the spread as a final play in this game. I don't hate same game parlay spots here. I kind of analyzed the board already. I don't know if we throw a same game parlay out today, but I do think that this and the next game are decent spots for it. And like we said, next game, Brooklyn taking on Washington in this spot. Brooklyn's a better team. I think they crush Washington. I do think that this is a team that I keep saying it, right? It's not like a broken record. I think this is a Brooklyn team that just is not really getting the flowers they deserve. Like, they're playing good basketball. They've definitely cashed for us. They might be our most profitable team this year, but they've won 5 of their last 6 games. They haven't had the biggest of tests of, schedule as of late, right? They beat Atlanta, which is probably their most quality win in the last 6 games, as I referenced 5 of their last 6. But Washington isn't like a good team, right? This is one of the worst teams in the league as well. So it's not like we're saying, oh, well, they haven't played anybody good. Now they're playing Washington. It's like, no, they just can keep doing what they're doing. The only problem here is that it's a 9.5 point spread. I'm not going to lie to you guys. I always say that Brooklyn's one of the best against the spread teams, but this seems like a pretty hit or miss line. In fact, it has been this way for them. They've only hit this in 4 of their last 10 and in 3 of their last 6. So it is pretty hit or miss when they are favored by 9.5 or more. Whereas Washington's actually pretty damn consistent. Crazily enough, they've covered this in 5 of their last 8. Actually, 5 of the last 7, to be honest. So still 5 of the last 8, but 5 of the last 7, making it even better. It's a big number, but Washington's not as good as Brooklyn here. They are just the better team. Gafford's questionable. I think that's the only injury to update you guys with as well. But yeah, give me Brooklyn minus the points. The total sitting at 241 here. This could be a game in which we look at Brooklyn's team total again, so that's probably the side I lean towards. That burned us last time, but we've been somehow, some way, had a pretty good beat for this Brooklyn team, knowing when they're going to be good, knowing when they're going to be bad, knowing they're going to score a lot of points or not score a lot of points. So my total lean's probably going to be Brooklyn team total over. We'll see what we can get it at. I'm hoping maybe 117.5. That sounds like a pretty good number to me, but we'll see. Keep an eye on the pin comment. All right, next up, we got my Boston Celtics taking on the New York Knicks. This should be a very good game. Right now, Celtics favored by 7 points. The total sitting at 220.5. I immediately jump to the over in this game because again, when the Celtics are in games against some good teams, we've seen it recently, right? Philly, I guess you could say Atlanta, but not really. But Philly, Milwaukee would be my 2 big examples here. They do play way better offensively. The Knicks, the defense has been kind of like hit or miss. I don't want to say totally miss because they have plenty of times they've held opponents to under 100 points here, but we just saw them play against Milwaukee, right? And Milwaukee dropped 146 on their head, so there's got to be something here that's kind of oh, what are we doing? And the last time the Celtics played the Knicks, they scored 114, which I think should be enough to carry this to an over type of a spot. So that's my main lean in this spot. Now, the spread, I'm a Celtics fan, right? I don't like to bet against the Celtics or anything like that, but that's a pretty big number. That's a pretty big number for a Knicks team that you just assume is going to be hungry as all hell after getting smoked by Milwaukee, right? So I think I say the Celtics win this game by not confidently by 7 or more, I guess you should say, points, right? So that spread is a little alarming to me. My main lean in this spot is going to be the over 220.5. And worth noting too, Kristaps is probable. Whether or not he gets the run or not, we shall see. But Kristaps Porzingis is another offensive add to this team. If he's a go, I like the over even more, right? Miami hosting Cleveland. This one's tough for me, and obviously Vegas thinks it's going to be a good game too. The total sitting at +2 right now for Miami. The spread sitting at +2. The total is at 220. In terms of injuries, Karis LeVert ruled out. Evan Mobley questionable here for Miami. Bam Adebayo still out. Duncan Robinson probable, RJ Hampton probable, Highsmith is out. So a lot of injuries to consider before we do anything final on this game. Miami burned us last time we took them against the Raptors. We had the Raptors, I think it was a -3, and they just went out there and burned us. I'm going to lean towards the Cavs here, though. I think that the Cavs just are a little bit more of a dynamic team. If Bam Adebayo is playing, maybe you could convince me that they can go talent for talent with Cleveland, but this Cleveland team went healthy. I keep saying it. They're going to be slept on for pretty much the entire season because their defense is kind of what gave them that notoriety last year, but their defense is now coming along. We've watched their rankings in defense, right, go from literally near the bottom of the league to, as Jared Allen gets back, gets a little bit better. As these guys get back, it's a little better. This defense, I think, is going to be pretty good come end of year-ish. So give me the Cavs here minus the 2 points. In terms of a total, I guess if I want to, go down the defensive path, I have to take a peek at the under. I don't love that it's 220. And this Miami team, who has played really slow, has cashed 6 of their last 10 overs, which makes it a little alarming. But again, I'm hoping that Cleveland defense kind of steps up here and they can win this game I don't know, maybe something like 110 to 101, right? That's a 211 total, and we're looking at 220 here. Gives a little bit of margin for a couple extra baskets to be made and still cashing it under. All right, guys, if you do want to support what we're doing here and get some great merch at the same time, make sure to head over to FadeMe.store. We got tons of cool things for the holidays on there. And speaking of the holidays, you have about, I would say this day and tomorrow, probably the last 2 days to confidently order to get your orders in hand by Christmas. We can't even guarantee anything, but that is sort of the deadline that I'm trying to throw out to you guys. We have tons of stuff over there, so make sure to go head over to FadeMe.store, guys. I'm rocking the Fade Me Athletics hoodie right now. We got the matching hat as well, but tons of cool stuff over there. In fact, one of my favorite products that we have, literally one of most comfortable things. Let's see if I could search it. Premium. This premium embroidered hoodie is, yes, it's a little bit more pricey, not compared to normal, retail stores, but compared to us liking to keep the costs down here, this is more pricey, but man, is this thing comfortable. Comes in a bunch of different colors as well. So go ahead and check out Fade Me, guys. FadeMe.store. All that information in the pinned comment as well. But yeah, definitely go support what we're doing here. You guys have been crushing it as of late. Last 2 months have been the biggest of the store's existence, which have you guys thank for that. So go check it out, FadeMe.store. All right, Memphis taking on Minnesota, and immediately, and I've been pretty damn good at spotting these this season, right? Smells like a trap. 6.5 points is all we're laying for one of the better teams in the league against one of the worst teams in the league. And they only played, about 2 weeks ago, and Minnesota won 119-97, and they're healthy. Why are they only 6.5 point favorites here? Is it because Memphis is playing good basketball, which they are? They've won 3 of their last 4, but 2 of those 3 wins, Utah and then Detroit. Like, I'm not willing to say this Memphis team is only 6.5 points worse than Minnesota yet, right? So it's a trap. I think we kind of threw that idea out the window and ran with it a couple nights back. Remember, we took Denver money line and the Thunder money line after I told you guys these are traps. This time, I'm going to try not outthink myself or overthink it, right? I'm going to fade my gut reaction, which is Minnesota's way better, and I'm going to look at Memphis here, plus the 6.5 points. I'm going to line read and trust this spot. Now, the total is sitting, I don't know if we actually end up rolling with it, because are my balls that big? Memphis plus 6, I don't know if they're that big, but total sitting at 213.5. I could see this game finishing right around like 215 to 218, so I ever so slightly lean towards the over. But again, this is more of a game in which I guess we're looking at a line reading spot versus the teams actually playing, because something's a little fishy about that line. But again, Memphis plus 6.5. We'll see if I can actually muster up the courage to roll with that, and then a slight lean towards the over. OKC at home laying 3 points against Golden State. This game went to OT last time they played. The Thunder have won 2 of the 3 meetings this year. All of the games have been close except for that middle game. OKC absolutely rolled them, but that was obviously a game with plenty of injuries to note here. No real injuries to note on either side. I think this is going to be a very good game. Right now, I have this pegged at a total just under 240, which is unfortunately where this line obviously is, but I'm going to also just trust that we have a lot of talent on both sides and not necessarily the best of defenses. So I am going to lean towards the over as my main lean in this game. I know people are going to be like, oh, that OKC defense is pretty good. Pretty good is as far as I'd go, right? Like, I'm not going to sit here and be like they're the most efficient defensive team. But in terms of spread, I kind of have it pegged right at 3 points. Like, I think OKC wins this by 2, so we'll keep an eye on that, because I don't really want to confidently take Golden State plus 3. Again, this OKC team, I do believe in. They lost to Houston, but again, that was the trap game. Prior to that, they had won 7 of their last 9 games. Golden State is just kind of in a little bit of limbo here. They're going win, loss, win, loss, win, loss, win, loss. They've done that for 7 straight games. They won last game against Portland, only beat them by 4. They're kind of due for a loss here, if you ask me. So I'm going to lean towards OKC, but I want that number to get to like 2.5 potentially. So we'll keep an eye on it. And also, again, slightly lean towards the over in this one. All right, San Antonio taking on Chicago. I almost wish we didn't have to cover this game because it ain't all that great. Zach LaVine still out. Alex Caruso probable for Chicago. Chicago coming off of, I guess what you could say would be 3 straight pretty good wins. Milwaukee, New Orleans, and then they beat Charlotte. They covered the spread. They doubled up their spread, so I give them a little bit of credit there. But I think it's the San Antonio Spurs spot here at home. This Chicago team, it's crazy. They're bad, right? We know that. They're 8-14 on the season. They're 7-6 at home. Well, they're not home today. They're on the road, and they're 1-8 on the road. So as weird as it is to bet San Antonio has just lost a million games in a row, this is a spot in which I'm fading Chicago, and this actually has a chance to be a final play. Spurs money line is going to be my lean here for some plus money. Yeah, it's kind of crazy. You know what? We sounded it already, but why not sound another psycho alert alarm? Because that's a psycho pick. This is usually one of the games where I'm like, you're a psycho if you have something confident in this game because it's such garbage. But I just do. Like, I think that this could be a spot in which San Antonio kind of shocks Chicago, but doesn't really shock me. Like, this is a bad on-the-road team for Chicago. Like, again, 7-6 at home. That sounds pretty good. 1-8 on the road. Like, they stink on the road. So give me San Antonio. Total sitting at 225 here. I'm going to go with the under because I don't necessarily think this is going to be like a super up-tempo game. And if San Antonio wins this game, I think it's because Chicago had difficulty scoring because this is obviously one of the worst defenses in the league in San Antonio. So if they win a game, it's got to be because Chicago does not come to play. If you're watching at this point, we're not commenting the number today, comment Chicago because I just can't say that city, Chicago. Comment Chicago in the comments. Let me know that you're part of the Fade Squad and not a Guppy because Guppies do not make it this far into the video. I tell you guys that all the time. Go ahead and comment Chicago if you made it this far into the video. I love doing those comments too because you always get a couple. If you guys go through the comments, we always get a couple of, why is everyone commenting this? And one guy on the Thursday Night Football video for yesterday's video was like, why is everyone commenting that? Oh my God, I'm going nuts over here. And I'm like, I can just picture this guy fuming out of the ears, figuring out why people are commenting what they're commenting. And it's like, dude, if you just watched the video, you would know. So it's like, give yourself away more, right? But nonetheless, we're moving on to Denver taking on Houston here. So this has been a weird matchup kind of all season long, right? We've seen Houston kind of get the better of it overall. They've played 3 times. Houston has won twice. But last time, like I told you, Denver was at home. I loved that spot for them. They win by 10. Now, the spread was 10.5. We got it at a better number, so we were able to cover that. But this is a Denver team that should be pretty hungry. They're coming off of 2 straight losses. Jamal Murray is probable, which is obviously good as well. Give me Denver here minus the 9 points. It's a decent number, but again, we saw them do it out of revenge last time, and I think that this is the type of spot where Houston won these 2 games at home. Denver will win this game. They won the last game, and then they'll win this game at home, and we knotted up at 2-2 for a season series between these two. Now, in terms of a total, I could see this one finishing right at 226 or 220. I would say 223 to 227 is a fair range for me, which is well over this number. Again, Denver dropped 130 plus on them last time, and Houston scored 124. So that blew this number away. That was a total of 217. So it's only gone up 3 points even since that. So I do think that, the books are trying to be conservative, but I see right through it. Give me the over in this spot as well. Next up is one that I'll tell you right now we're probably not betting because I've made an argument in my brain, and my brain can't handle all that much, right? I made an argument in my brain for both teams over and over again. Phoenix, I like in this spot because they're at home. Sacramento has struggled on the road this season, and both these teams are kind of coming off of ugly losses in the play-in tournament, right? Phoenix has the most turnovers ever against the Lakers. Sacramento gets beat by 10 points, so it's like, who's coming in hungrier? You look at the injury report, and Kevin Durant's out, so it's like, okay, well, there's the reason for Sacramento, right? Makes it kind of tough, but it kind of just seems like too obvious to go with the Kings, who are a good team, a better record and against the spread record than the Suns here. So it's like I said, Phoenix at home, Sacramento not all that great on the road. I like that spot for Phoenix. Kevin Durant out means, okay, I'm going to go towards the Kings. So I'm probably not going to bet this, but without Kevin Durant, I don't think you can catch me confidently betting the Suns. So I'm going to lean Sacramento in terms of a lean, but again, like, this seems like such a spot where it's like, no Kevin Durant, no problem, all over Twitter after the game. You know what I mean? So I guess I could see that happening too, because Devin Booker's still there. Like, this is still not a bad Suns team, but give me the Kings. In terms of a total, 236.5. Yeah, I see this going right around that number, so I'm going to lean towards the under just because we've seen, again, some offensive struggles from Phoenix as of late. Like, they're scoring right around that 105 to 111 number lately, which I don't think is going to be enough to push this to an easy over. So I'm going to slightly lean towards the under, but I do have this pegged right around that 236 number. Next up, we have the Utah Jazz taking on the Clippers. I do think the Clippers win this game. I don't necessarily know if it's by 7.5 points or 8 or more points. So I'm going to lean towards the Jazz in this spot, kind of reluctantly. Again, I'm kind of fading the Clippers number more or less than backing Utah. We might see Jordan Clarkson, return here to the lineup, which would be good. I think he's been out the last 3 or 4 games. So obviously that's a handful of points that we should be getting from the Jazz. So give me them plus 7.5. Again, I feel like I've said it a million times this video, but I do keep it honest with you guys, right? I don't think I'm playing this game as a final play, right? Like, you got to pick and choose your spots. We haven't had our eye on the ball for the last 2 or 3 days. Let's make sure that, we're picking spots that we love, not just spots that kind of make sense to us. So this is probably not one that makes its way into the final plays. The total sitting at 224 could make its way into the final plays. So the Clippers in their last few games have been scoring, I would say, enough points here. They've been scoring right around that 115 mark, right? Utah is a bad defense. Their offense offense, if it doesn't click, then we can might as well, you know, shut this. But they're allowing the 6th most points per game in the entire league. They're allowing a top 10 amount of points in the 4th quarter too, which you love to see those late points come in, especially having over. So I'm going to lean towards the over in this spot at 224. Portland taking on Dallas as our last game of the night. You can actually get this at 7.5 over on MGM if you like that, which I do. I like Dallas in this spot a little bit more than I do Portland, just because Portland doesn't seem like a backable team. Now, like I told you guys in the last video, I feel like they've been getting some big numbers and have somewhat been covering them. Like they've covered in 5 of their last 6 games, which is kind of crazy. But Dallas also is kind of like looking for some sort of a streak to go on or anything like that, right? And they just cleaned up Utah. They beat them 147-97. Do the math at home, kids. That's a lot of points, right? So it's like, okay, I get what you're getting at here. Like this is a team in which, I guess you could say, is good. I told you guys that their offense is some of the best when they're firing on all cylinders, right? This is the type of team where they just carry that momentum and do it again. So while Portland has been covering big numbers, I think Dallas cleans this one up, wins by 8 or more points. The total sitting at 229.5. I don't necessarily love the over. I like Dallas to score more points, so we'll keep an eye on their team total. But I could see the Dallas Mavericks winning this like 120 to 104, right? Which is well covering that number. Dallas puts up 120, but we'll have to see where that team total line comes out at, because I have a feeling their line is going to be pretty damn high in this spot. But guys, keep an eye on the pinned comment for all the final plays. That wraps it for today. Hope you guys did enjoy. Again, comment Chicago if you made it X far into the video whenever we did that. I think it was around 19 minutes. Appreciate the hell out of you guys. You guys have been absolutely awesome, even when we're on losing streaks. But again, you look at it from a macro, right? The micro the last couple days have been bad. You look at it from a macro. We are up in the season, are profitable, are giving good plays to you guys. But again, it's just Ev picks, right? Like I'm giving you guys what I like on the night. I'm not forcing you to take it. I'm telling you guys, fade me all over my body, because you know what, we're all sports bettors. We're all we all have the same access to the same sort of tools and whatnot, which is why I like to make videos and give you guys sort of my secrets, which are not secrets. Like we can all win together, but nonetheless, like you never know what's actually going to happen on the court. You can only try to give yourself an edge. So with that in mind and that being said, let's conclude for today. I'll catch you guys in the next one. All right, peace out.